This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Good morning, my Real News Media TV family. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning, and I'm wishing for everyone a wonderful and a productive day. And in the news this morning for May 1, 2023, jerk chicken vendor who allegedly shot himself after Santa Cruz robbery charged. 33-year-old Sean Reed, otherwise called Romaine, jerk chicken vendor of Newport District, Manchester, was arrested and charged after a robbery in Santa Cruz, St. Elizabeth on April 6. Reed has been charged with robbery with aggravation, possession of a prohibited weapon, and using a prohibited weapon to commit an offense. Reports from the Santa Cruz police are that at about 7:55 a.m., Reed and 3 other men held up and robbed a man of his licensed firearm and then attempted to rob a supermarket. They made demands that were not met, which allegedly prompted Reed to hit a complainant multiple times in his face. Later that day, Reed turned up at the hospital with a gunshot wound. The police were summoned, and upon their arrival, it was discovered that Reed allegedly accidentally shot himself. He was treated and released to the police. Reed was positively identified after an identification parade on Thursday. His court date is being finalized. Police say a gun attack which left 1 man dead and 3 people injured on Sunday morning in Top Greenville stemmed from a domestic dispute. Head of the Manchester Police, Superintendent Shane McCullough, told the news on Sunday that police are searching for a suspect who is a resident of Greenville. What is happening right now is that Greenville is one of those places, based on its history, that we have not let up on the type of security measures, but as it is right now, the incident is not deemed to be linked to any gang feud or any other rivalry inside the space. It was something resulting from a domestic dispute, so we will continue to closely assess and deploy our assets inside the space as the intelligence dictates, said McCullough. We continue to carry out our operational activities and our community relations activities in terms of intervention both by us and the partnership with stakeholders and the community, so it is a continuous process, added McCullough. Police identified the murder victim as Andre Hines, 38, otherwise called Claffy, a resident of Greenville. Residents told the news that about midnight, Hines was among a group of people gathered at a bar in Texas, Top Greenville, in an area referred to as 100, when a gunman opened fire, hitting 4 people and sending others scampering for cover. The 4 injured patrons were rushed to the hospital, where Hines was pronounced dead and the others admitted for treatment. The news was told that of the 3 injured people, 2 sustained gunshot wounds and the 3rd person was grazed. McCullough said that the scene of the shooting was a regular hangout spot for residents. It wasn't a bar, it was an abandoned shop. They just went and used it for whenever they have any little gathering on the lane, he said. The police theorized that Hines was the target of the gun attack. The domestic dispute would have stemmed from some argument between a woman and Hines, and it appears that the woman would have went to someone else who intervened, and it ended up in that, said McCullough. Since the shooting, tension and fear have resurfaced among residents of Greenville, a community located just a mile west of the Mandeville town center. Residents are fearful of the possibility that the shooting could lead to reprisals. One resident suggested that divine intervention was needed to prevent further bloodshed in Greenville. A peace walk cannot help. They need God, the resident said. Another resident suggested that the harboring of strangers in Greenville is affecting the community. Sometimes it is not those that live here. Sometimes this is some strange people that they take in the district and cause these problems because you don't know who is who, and then you hear about shooting, she said. When asked to respond to the concerns of residents, McCullough reiterated that the shooting was not gang-related. It appears that it is domestic in nature, not anything having to do with any rivalry inside the space, but something domestic, so we currently have a suspect that we are pursuing, and as the investigations continue, we are expecting to make further breakthroughs, he said. He is urging residents to find amicable ways to resolve disputes. We continuously try to plead to young people to deal with and manage their domestic problems in another way, but we realize that with the prevalence of the gun, it appears that every argument that happens, they will resort to the firearm, he said. We are asking residents to cooperate with the police and not to do anything to further escalate any problems in the space. A lot of work has been done in the space, and it has been relatively calm over the past few months, so we won't let up on that. We will continue to do anything that we have to do from a security standpoint to ensure that we address the fears and the concerns of the residents, to ensure that the area continues to maintain that level of peace that has been in the space over the last few months, added McCullough. Charges laid against the teenagers in alleged rape of classmates. Two 17-year-old boys were arrested and charged after assaulting a classmate at a school located in Clarendon on March 27. The boys have been charged with rape and aid and abetting rape and malicious destruction of property. Reports are that at about 2:45 p.m., the complainant was in her classroom when one of the boys closed and guarded the door while the other sexually assaulted her. Both boys were arrested and charged after a question and answer session. Holness says he has never taken his eyes off the people's business. I have never really left the road. I have always been engaged with the public, asserted Prime Minister Andrew Holness, who made it clear on Sunday that he will not be daunted as he carries out the people's business. Recent polls have suggested that the public's perception of the Prime Minister and the government he leads is declining, but Holness told the news that while he pays attention to polls, he doesn't allow them to faze him. The poll is a snapshot in time, and what you really want to look at is the trend. We want to look at what is happening over a period of time. And so this is a snapshot, and then you also have to look at the credibility of the poll. So one, I do pay attention to them, but I don't speak about them because polls are a curious thing. A poll is an instrument designed to measure, but it is interfering with the very thing it is measuring. Indeed, the polls create their own results, so you have to be very careful of that. He added, so what I do is 1. Always maintain my presence, be consistent, keep on message. Sometimes people want to listen to you, sometimes people want to hear you, and then another time they may be frustrated and don't want to listen. They are attracted by something else, but one thing people will know about myself and my style and how I govern is that I am consistent and reliable and dependable. I am always here for them, and I've never taken my eyes off the people's business. Holness was speaking with a journalist following a central executive meeting of the Jamaica Labour Party held at the Sam Sharp Teachers College. We discussed the constitutional reform generally, the timelines and the timetable for that, and the purpose and the reason behind the constitutional reform, he said of the meeting. Holness said the executive has agreed that the chairman of the party, Robert Montague, will conduct a special meeting of councillors, members of parliament, and the party executives to have deeper discussions as the constitutional reform process unfolds in the country. Also coming out of the meeting were discussions about the social issues affecting Jamaicans, which Holness said is of great concern to the party. He said the party is paying close attention, particularly to the issue of inflation and how that affects the ability of households to survive. The issues of roads, water, basic needs, and the security were also discussed, he said. Holness said the executive made certain decisions as to how the party will operate, particularly as it relates to how information is imparted to the public. The party generally understands that the government, which they form, is doing an amazing job. We have so many achievements on which we can stand on as a platform. We have made so many reforms. We are taking on the big issues, but we need to make the connection with the public so the public understands the bigger picture of what we are trying to achieve, explained Holness. And even as we achieve these nation-building endeavors, we also must focus on the immediate needs of the people, and that is the important message coming out of the central executive. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.